Alright, here goes. Alright, so basically, the Grand Tournament. This is our new expansion. You're going to be able to get the cards by buying packs, just like we did with Goblins vs. Gnomes. And so we have a couple new things that are coming. We have a new game board. The website says we have 132 new cards. We have a new mechanic, a new minion keyword. We have a pre-purchase option this time, which is different than GVG. And we actually have a release date, sort of. The release date, they said, August. So next month, that could mean early August, could be the end of August, we don't know yet, but next month sometime. And the pre-purchase option, you'll be able to get that awesome card back that you see over on the side. And you also get 50 Grand Tournament card packs, and that is for $49.99 US dollars. You won't be able to open the packs until the actual launch, until it actually releases in August, but you'll have them sitting there teasing you, basically saying, you have these and you can't open them yet. But as soon as it launches, you'll be able to open those 50 packs. Alright, and here is the game board that they showed. I love it. I think it's totally awesome. And they did say that the people over in the little stands will kind of cheer for you or maybe be sad for you if you're not doing as well. So they kind of interact with your play. I'm really curious to see how that works. I know they showed it on stream and they used this game board, but we didn't really get to see the actual interactions with the game board. So I'm kind of excited to see that. I'm wondering if when your hero maybe takes damage, or if you do damage to the other hero, maybe that's when the guys in the stands will interact. So that is the game board there. Very festive. Alright, so the new mechanic. The mechanic is more broad than just the minion keyword, so they're different. And the mechanic can affect both minions and spells. And when I saw this, it reminded me of the Blackrock Mountain that had each minion that died this turn. So, you know, that made cards cost less, or even like the card in hand mechanic, like you saw with the Hunter cards. So, like, if your hand is empty, you get to draw a card, or if there's no cards in your hand, it gets a buff. So that's kind of the mechanic, a general description of it. And there's various cards that we've already seen, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more. But we've already seen ones that affect the cost of the hero power, that affect the number of times you can use your hero power. We have a minion that has a reduced cost for how many times you've used your hero power. So it's interesting to see what all more comes with that. Now, the actual minion keyword is Inspire. So Inspire is triggered when your hero power is used, and this is like Death Rattle, or maybe even a Battle Cry, something along those lines. So every time that you use your hero power, the Inspire is going to trigger. Alright, let's get into some cards. Alright, so here we have the two legendaries that they have announced, and they're both neutrals. So first we see the 7-cost 4/6 pirate named Sky Captain Crag. He has Charge, and he costs 1 less for each friendly pirate. Alright, so very interesting. He fits the same mana curve as Dr. Boom, but you can lower his cost. If you have other pirates in play, he costs less. So, also, if you have a weapon in play, he can be paired with South Sea Deckhand. So, essentially, if you have a weapon in play, and you can play out for 7 mana You could do South Sea Deckhand first, and then, or is he 2 mana? I don't know. But you could get essentially, almost for the same mana, you're ending up getting a 6 attack plus your weapon for the same price. Plus you start to get that pirate synergy. I'm kind of thinking that we're going to see him more in like aggro, maybe mid-range decks. Kind of like we see with the Hunter class. So, does it mean in hand or in play? I want to say that this means in play. So for each friendly pirate that you have on the board. If it was in your hand, I think that they would specify that. It's kind of like some of the cards say, there's one specifically I'm trying to think of now, I can't think of it. But for each just friendly creature, for each friendly minion that you have on the board, it gets +1/+1. So, I'm thinking that it's, I'm thinking that it's, for any pirates that you have in play. Alright. And the second one that we see here is Nexus Champion Sarad. And he is a 5-cost 4/5 with Inspire. Add a random spell to your hand. So this is awesome. I love this one. It's going to be great. Uses Inspire, the Inspire effect, to put a random spell in your hand. So I can see this being used more in tempo decks, especially something like Tempo Mage, if you combo that with Flamewaker. So you have Sarad on the board, you have Flamewaker, you use your hero power, you know, to maybe help clear his board, something like that, and then all of a sudden you're starting to put spells in your hand that you can then just cast and get the effect with Flamewaker. And we saw in the announcement stream that they did yesterday, we saw him comboed with other minions that made your hero power cost 1, and then you could use it multiple times, and then basically they were just drawing a bunch of cards. Not necessarily drawing them, but they were putting cards in their hand. So really this turns into almost like a draw mechanic. Kind of like how Chromagus puts a second copy of the card in your hand. So, let's see. It does compete in the 5-drop slot, though. Just like Sludge Belcher, Loatheb, Antique Killbot, Harrison Jones, maybe even Azure Drake. There's a few smaller minions that could trade into it, but overall, I really think that 5 health is pretty decent, and I think we're going to see this card a lot. Alright. Next we have... Here we go. There we go. Alright. Next we have these 3 cards, 2 neutrals, and 1 class-specific card. The first one is Maiden of the Lake. It's a 4-mana, 2/6, and it reads, your hero power costs 1. Alright. All 3 of the cards that you guys see here have the hero power mechanic involved. Maiden of the Lake has a lower attack and a higher health, which I actually really like, and I think it's fine. If it were like a 4 for a 4/4, I think it would get killed too easily, and it wouldn't allow you to keep it on the board with other things. So you wouldn't really get the use out of the cheaper hero power. Although, realistically and ideally, you probably want to play her on at least turn 5. If you have, you can play her out and then use your 1 cost hero power So you probably want to at least get some value out of her. So playing her on turn 5 is going to be probably what we're going to see. We might see a little bit later as well. But if you just play her on turn 4, you're not going to have the mana. Unless you combo it with something else. You know, like the coin or like an innervate or something like that. So playing her on turn 5 might make her a little bit more weak to other minions, because then you're starting to get up to minions that might have 6 attack. But overall, I think she's fine. All right, let's see the Caldera Drake. This is a 6-cost 6/6 dragon. It is a mage card, and it reads: you can use your hero power any number of times. This is super awesome for mage. I'm excited for this. It's going to allow you to get more efficient board clears, such as killing off like a 5-cost minion after you do a flame strike. You'll be able to use your hero powers and finish those off. I can see this being really helpful against aggro as well, like Muster for Battle, or Implosion. So you'll be able to use your hero power multiple times and ping off those little 1/1s. And having it out as well, you can also combo it with the another mage card, Dragon's Breath, and the neutral Volcanic Drake that are from Blackrock Mountain that have that mechanic that we talked about where they have a reduced cost for each minion that was killed. So you have Caldera Drake out, you can use your hero power 3 times, let's say, and you got your Dragon's Breath reduced, and you can end up playing that. I can also see these being super effective if you've had Emperor Thaurissan out, and then now you can use your hero power multiple times, but you can also play more cards along with it because your cards are cheaper. So that's going to be a really interesting combo. I'm really curious to see what kinds of decks and combos people come up with. Alright, the third card here is Frost Giant. It is a 10 mana 8/8, and it reads: costs 1 less for each time you used your hero power this game. Alright, so I want to specify that. It says this game. Now, that's insane. We saw in the announcement stream that even when like Trump would draw Frost Giant, and it's already halfway through the game, it still had a reduced mana cost. So it's not just that it's played that turn, you don't have to do it immediately. The effect lasts for the whole game. So, let's see. So when it's comboed with other cards especially, it's going to be crazy. So I want to say that in the announcement stream, they actually had all 3 of these kind of like in the same deck. When you get this combo going, you can put out Maiden of the Lake, and then your hero power only costs 1, and then you're playing Mage, and you play out Caldera Drake, and now you can use it multiple times for only 1 mana, and now you're starting to use your hero power 3, maybe 4 times in 1 turn, and all of a sudden your Frost Giant just costs 3 or 4 less in that 1 turn, let alone however many times you've already used it. So, crazy, insane combos. I really like the fact that the Maiden of the Lake and the Frost Giant are neutrals. I really, really want to see what different types of things people come up with, and what other cards are coming out. It's going to be awesome. Alright. So, this one, we have 2 neutral cards. We have a 1-cost 1/2 called Lowly Squire, and it reads: Inspired, gain +1 attack. I don't know, there's not much here with this. It's a decent 1-drop, and I think it can be good to maybe clear early minions, but it does require you to use your hero power to make it stronger. So I'm thinking early game, you're going to have to maybe play this out turn 1, use your hero power turn 2, which means on turn 2 you have a 2/2 that you actually spent 3 mana for. So, I don't know. I mean, you can make him stronger, and, you know, maybe if you get this out a little later and you've, you know, got your other combo going, or you have Maiden of the Lake, and now your hero power only costs 1, you can buff him up, but he still only has 2 health, so he's going to be pretty weak to some, you know, other board clears. He's going to get killed from a Consecration. You can use a Keeper of the Grove on him, you know, things like that, so he's not super strong. Just a pretty basic card. Inspire. Inspire is the new mechanic. So Inspire is when you use your hero power. That ability is activated. So every time you use your hero power, he will gain +1 attack. Alright, the second neutral that we see here is a 6 mana 3/5, and it is called Kodo Rider. It reads, Inspire, summon a 3/5 War Kodo. And the War Kodo doesn't have any special abilities or anything like that. It's just a 3/5 body. So this is... I think this is a really awesome card. You're going to be able to start building up your board. I think this is going to be a big target that people are going to want to take out. And if you can play him on turn 6, but I mean, he kind of competes with like Emperor Thorson, Sylvanas for that 6th slot. But I can see him being played more on like a turn 7 or turn 8, and you play him and then you use your hero power. Turn 7, if you have your Maiden of the Lake out, so that your hero power only costs 1. And so essentially what you're going to be doing is you're going to be playing it out on turn 7 or 8, and you're going to be getting 2 3/5 bodies for that 8 mana. So let's say you pay 8, you're basically getting 2 3/5s for 4 mana each. So if you look at a 4 mana 3/5, it's pretty good, pretty standard. But you're going to be able to just keep pumping these guys out every time you use your hero power, which is really super awesome. So plus 5 health. I really think 5 health is so critical right now. It's hard for some of classes to deal with. Like rogues have a little bit of a hard time dealing with them. You can't kill it off immediately with just a flame strike. You'd have to do like flame strike hero power. You know, even a warrior, you would have to do like a death bite with the death rattle, or you know, a death bite attack with whirlwind. You know, something like that. You have to do more than just one thing to clear 5 health. So 5 health is pretty good. So I like that. Alright, next cards here. We see mage cards. Now this first one is Fallen Hero. It's a 2 mana 3/2 minion, and it reads, your hero power deals 1 extra damage. Holy moly, guys. This card's awesome. I'm super excited for this. I think it's amazing. I looked, and there's a lot of other minions that also have 3/2 bodies for 2. So a lot of popular ones: Wild Pyromancer, Knife Juggler, Mad Bomber, Fairy Dragon. You see Acidic Swamp Ooze, and I know there's other ones as well. So the 3/2 body is really nice, and it can actually trade up into some other minions, even 4 cost minions like Piloted Shredder that only has 3 health. So in addition to that, you can also now do 2 damage with your hero power. So you have this pretty decent early game body on the board, and your hero power now does 2 that you can direct. That's the part that I think is really awesome. It's not just, oh, now it does 2 to face, or 2 to a random. It's, you can direct where you want that damage to go. And also, with that, you're going to do 2 damage. Now you're starting to use your hero power. It's going to trigger other cards and benefit your other minions. So to me, this seems more like a control-y, maybe mid-range type card. You know, you're going to want to play this out. You're going to want to use your hero power to start pinging off and getting rid of their minions so that you can essentially clear their board or really establish your own board presence. And then just keep hitting face with what you can. This kind of reminds me of the strategy that Zoo decks use. So essentially, you're going to really want to make efficient trades. Putting this out, you can use your hero power, like I said, to ping off some of their early minions, and then that leaves your board clear to just go face. So, Effigy, the second card we see, is a 3-mana Mage Secret, and it reads, Secret, when a friendly minion dies, summon a random minion with the same cost. Okay, this is pretty awesome. This is going to be interesting. It's similar to Recombobulator, that gives you the Recombobulator, you play it out and you choose the minion, and it gives you a random minion of the same cost. So the difference here, though, is you don't have to change a minion that's on the board like you do with Recombobulator. You just have the Secret out, and then once a minion dies, it puts out a new one for you. The downside is that Effigy can be learned. People are going to learn how to play around it. And, you know, if they kill off a little 1-cost or 2-cost minion, then you only get another 1 or 2-cost minion. Not as effective as if you were to actually choose a minion like you do with Recombobulator. So Recombobulator, you can choose, hey, I want to change this 8-cost minion into something else that costs 8. So I think it's decent, and it's going to help at least keep minions on your board. So, you know, they kill off a minion, it puts a new one on, they're going to have to kill that one now. But I think it's going to be like Shredder, like Piloted Shredder. I think we're going to see it, and sometimes it might give you a kind of crappy minion that you don't really like. But I think overall it's probably going to be pretty decent, and I think we're going to see it played. Alright, now let's look at these next cards here. Shaman cards! Woo! Alright, so this first one is a 2-mana cost, 3/4 Totem. And it is named Totem Golem. It reads Overload 1. I am in love with this card. I think this is awesome. It's going to be... I think it's really just going to be used a lot. When I first saw it, the first other card that I thought of was Spider Tank. So first, it's got the same body, it's a 3/4, and if you consider the overload mana that you spend on your next turn, you basically are still paying 3 mana for it. You're just paying 2 this turn and 1 next turn. So you're paying 3 mana for the 3/4, and it also has like the subclass, you know, or tribe, like some people say, like Spider Tank does. Spider Tank's a mech, this one is a totem, and is now going to be able to be affected by other cards that affect your totems. So essentially this is a totem Spider Tank. And people say that Spider Tank is pretty good. So I'm just thinking this is going to be super strong. Sure, you play it out on turn 2, your next turn you have the overload, so you're still only going to have 2 mana. You can combo it, maybe you use other cards, like the Lava Shock, you know, that clears out your overload. But early game, this is super strong. The second card that we see is Thunderbluff Valiant. It is a 5-cost 3/6 and reads Inspired. Give your totems +2 attack. This one, I'm thinking this is a really good 5-drop for Shaman. I looked, there's only two. That's it. There's only 2 other 5-cost Shaman cards. And it's Doomhammer and Earth Elemental. This one, much more playable. We don't really see much Shaman played, and even when you do, a lot of people aren't running. They're not running the Earth Elemental. They're running other 5-drops instead. They put in a Loatheb. They put in you know, maybe Azure Drakes, different things like that. But I think that this Valiant is going to get a lot of play. It's going to be put into Shaman decks. You use your hero power, give your totems +2 attack. If you still have this totem golem out, all of a sudden now he's a 5/4 because you just used your hero power. But that gives all of your totems, so that includes the totems that you get from your hero power. It's going to be insane. It's got maybe a slightly weaker body, but the fact that you're getting all your totems +2 attack every time you use your hero power, that's insane. It's like a Savage Roar for using your hero power. It's only going to be on your totems though, instead of on every minion. But if you're able to get 3 or 4 totems out, all of a sudden you've got 6-8 damage just for your 1 or 2 mana that you spent on your hero power. Alright. Next cards are also Shaman cards. So we have Tuskar Totemic, and it is a 3 mana, 3/2, and it reads Battle Cry. Summon any random totem. Alright, so at this point, unless they announce more, but at this point, there's only 8 totems. Okay, 4 of them are from the Shaman hero power. We have the new Totem Golem that we just saw, Flame Tongue Totem, Manatite Totem, and Vitality Totem. Okay, so 8 totems. 7 of those 8 only cost 2 mana. And that's also, you know, if you say, okay, you're using the 2 mana for your hero power to give you, you know, whichever one of those 4. So essentially, you're going to spend 2 mana for one of those. But this one, you're paying 3 mana for a 3/2 body, and you're getting a totem that is going to cost you another 2. So if you want to look at it, you could basically say you're getting this guy for 1 mana plus the 2 costs of your totem that you would already get. That is insane. That's like a Flame Imp. And plus it also puts 2 minions out on the board. It gives a totem, so you can benefit from the cards we just saw. It can get buffed up. Let's see. So I think we're gonna see Tuskar used a lot. That's insane. And in Arena, I think that's gonna be amazing. Any card that's gonna give you multiple minions is really strong in Arena. Alright. The second card here, we have Draenei Totemcarver. It is a 4 mana 4/4 and reads Battle Cry. Gain +1/+1 for each friendly totem. So, this is going to be used a lot, I'm thinking, and it's a perfect mid-game card. Even if it doesn't get the buff, you're still playing on a 4/4 for the 4 mana. So the vanilla test, it's still a good body. But the fact that you actually get +1/+1 for each totem that you have in play is insane. You know, especially when we see these other cards like the Tuskar Totemic. Now you all of a sudden have 1 just because you played this on turn 3. You can play the Draenei Totemcarver out turn 4, and it's automatically going to be at least a 5/5. Maybe you used your hero power turn 2 and that totem's still alive. Now all of a sudden on turn 4 you're putting out a 6/6. That is insane tempo. And I'm just so excited for this. I think Shaman's got some awesome cards so far. I really want to see more. They're going to be able to finally start building some decks that we're going to see a lot more played on ladder. We've kind of seen Shaman played, you know, in competition, things like that. You know, some of the pros play maybe a Mech Shaman, but it's a little bit more rare than some of the other classes, and there's a lot of arguments that it's not even as strong. So I think these are really going to put Shaman kind of back in the game. And these, if you guys notice also, there's not really, sure there's this random aspect of any totem, but it's not like a Crackle where it's this wide range of damage. It's sure. It's like any of the other minions that we see, or a piloted Shredder. You know, you kind of know what you're gonna get. So, personally, I think that these cards give Shaman less RNG, and that's a big complaint that a lot of people have, is that Shaman is just way too much RNG based. Alright, Hunter cards! Alright, here we have a 2-mana Hunter spell called Lock and Load. And each time you cast a spell this turn, add a random Hunter card to your hand. That is, it's crazy. I think this is awesome. We saw it in the announcement stream. We got to see Firebat play it, and he played it out, and then you saw him play like 2 spells following it. So essentially, he played the 2 spells and just got 2 new cards put back in his hand. It's going to be able to keep your hand more full of cards. So for card advantage, this is really great. It reminds me of kind of like a Neptulon or Chromagus, where you play that 1 card, and then you're able to get cards, like extra cards that aren't already in your deck. They're kind of just like created out of nowhere. Kind of like with Web Spinner. You know, you play the Web Spinner, and then it puts a minion in your hand. And you know, for tempo plays and card advantage, this is huge. So I think we're going to see Lock and Load a lot. 6 mana for the second Hunter spell called Ball of Spiders. It reads, summon 3 1/1 Web Spinners. Alright, so I'm not completely sold on this yet. I think I'm going to have to see it played first. But if you compare it to just the Web Spinners themselves, Web Spinner only costs 1. And you get 3 of them, so that'd be 3 mana. But now you're paying double that, you're paying 6. So, if you look at it just mana-wise, it's not that great. But if you think about it too, you can have 2 of these spells in your hand, and then you can also have the 2 actual Web Spinners. So if you were building a deck around this, you could have 8 Web Spinners in your deck. You could play this along with like a Knife Juggler. You have a Knife Juggler out on the board. You play, you know, Ball of Spiders. It's going to help you secure a beast on the board. A lot of people, you know, want to use the kill command, so they want to put a beast out on the board. Well, with this, it's a lot easier. You have 3 out instead of just playing 1 beast and then trying to play the kill command after it. So it kind of secures your beasts on the board a little bit. It's also going to help you with things like Houndmaster. You know, again, you're only putting, instead of just putting 1 beast on the board, you're putting 3. Now all of a sudden you can play a Houndmaster and buff one of those guys up. Also, if you consider the minions that you're going to get from the Web Spinners, then you're kind of getting extra value there as well. So initially, just looking at the mana cost, it seemed really high, but I think this is going to be pretty good. I'm not sure if we're going to see it in competitive play or how prevalent it's going to be. You can't really add it to like Face Hunter, but maybe if there's more of like a beast centered, or maybe kind of Control Hunter archetype might come from this. So we'll see with that. Alright. And last but not least, alright, here we go. Last but not least, we have this Rogue card. Now, this was not shown in the like official announcement stream. This was actually shown on like a Spanish stream. So let's see. It's a rogue, Brazilian. All right. It is a rogue weapon. It's a 4 cost, 1 attack, 3 durability, and it reads, your hero power gives this weapon +1 attack instead of replacing it. It's called Poisoned Blade. Alright, so I don't know. The stats on it are very similar to Cogmaster's Wrench, which is a 3 mana for a 1/3 weapon that gets you +2 while you have a mech. But this is a little more reliable since you don't have to have a mech in play. Honestly, though, I think I'd rather just pay 1 more mana and play Assassin's Blade. It's going to give you the 3/4 weapon. Plus, trying to use your hero power to make this bigger, it's going to cause you to maybe not use the weapon quite as often, which is going to make you even more vulnerable to Acidic Ooze, Harrison Jones, which already can harm Rogue a lot. Maybe if you combo it with, another card that allows you to use your hero power multiple times, if that's going to be a thing for Rogue, then I can maybe see that, you're going to get maybe some really strong tempo swings, or maybe someone's going to come up with an OTK deck with like the Tinker's Oil and Blade Flurry. You pump this up with Tinkers and your hero power, and you attack with it, and then you Blade Flurry. But, I don't know. I don't see this being super used. I think what Rogue has already is probably just going to be more effective. But it's also going to depend on what other cards we see. With the announcement stream, they only showed a few classes. So we got to see a lot more of the Shaman cards and some of the Mage and the Hunter cards, but we didn't really get to see any of the other class cards. So maybe there's going to be something that they're going to release that's going to make this super awesome. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this. So that's the card so far, and that is my personal opinion. I am not a pro player, but these are my views. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let me know.